where there's so many things that have happened that, as many of you know and have lived, and your parents and your families have definitely lived them, this legacy of America's abandonment of the region after its own strategic objectives were met at the end of the Soviet-Afghan War. We left this place with 4 million refugees for Pakistan to deal with. We left this place with people that we have brought in from all over the world to fight with us, that we helped to radicalize because that meant our need of having an army of very fierce warriors to beat back the Soviet Union from Afghanistan. The problem was, when America left the region, Pakistan had suffered a lot already, and Afghanistan was completely devastated by the war. I think it's I don't think it's an understatement to say that one of the biggest strategic blunders in the history of the world will prove to be that America didn't rebuild Afghanistan and help Pakistan, its two allies, that left it the lone superpower, which my country greatly benefited from. And my simple point to my fellow Americans is, if we can rebuild our big enemies of Germany and Japan after World War II with the Marshall Plan, why couldn't we rebuild our friends? If we can rebuild our enemies, then definitely we can rebuild our friends, right? Makes sense to me. But some idiot, some bean counter, decided, even against the advice of Representative Congressman Charlie Wilson, who had helped fund the Mujahideen, even at his advice to not leave this place and to put in massive resources to rebuild the lives of hurting women and children and families, and to repatriate and debrief and de-radicalize foreign fighters that we brought in, and to control the heroin trade. All these bean counters and these guys were like, well, we won the Soviet War. We got what we wanted. So why, so let's just leave. They'll be fine. It's the stupidest thing that our country has ever done in modern times. Because the cancer that is in this part of the world with extremism can be rooted to our countries seeding it and then leaving it to metastasize into a cancer. So the United States has a huge responsibility, in my opinion, to do more for this nation. And I don't want to hear this talk about some people saying to me, well, Pakistan has corruption, and Pakistan has this problem, Pakistan has that problem, and they have their own internal faults, and that's why they're in the situation they're in. I say baloney. Because every country has corruption, and every country has problems, and every country has bad guys. But very few countries have had to be at the center of the world's conflict, geopolitical conflict between two superpowers, and held up under that. Unfortunately, when the Berlin Wall came down, we were waving American flags, but we forgot to bring the Pakistani flags along. Because without the Pakistan nation, America would not have become the lone superpower that it did. Americans your age don't even know that. So Sonic Peacemakers, yes, it's a music project, but at the end of the day, I will feel it's successful, not just because we created some great collaborations of music, but when the American people understand what a big blunder was made, and a lot of suffering has taken place because of it. But I also believe that it's better late than never. If the American people wake up to how supporting certain people and not supporting the people living on the ground in a nation can come back to haunt the whole world years later. For instance, I met about a year and a half ago with Ambassador Robin Rayfield in Islamabad to tell her about our work and our projects, to inform her what myself as an American citizen is doing. And to tell her my opinion about a few things. She was the highest level government official that I've ever been able to talk to. So I told her, I said, you know, Ambassador Rayfield, with all due respect, these drone attacks are stupid. These drone attacks are wrong. And I told her, first of all, when you have a covert CIA operation that has this unmanned aircraft firing missiles, and the guy controlling that is sitting in front of a computer screen like it's a video game, it's a very desensitized process to the damage that's being caused on the ground. Because it's a covert, quote-unquote, secret CIA program that is an open secret, there's no accountability. Does anybody here have any reliable statistics of exactly how many militants were killed or bad guys who were planning to attack America were killed against the number of civilians that have died? Do we know their names and their ages and where they were from? No, we really don't know all of that. And the reason we don't know all of that is because it's not acknowledged. So there's no accountability. America has no accounting to its own people or to the people of Pakistan about what it is doing. And that right there makes it a very moral, as far as I'm concerned, it's over the line, but at the very least, a very gray legal and moral area where you commit deadly operations in a land without the accountability of exactly what has taken place, exactly who has died, exactly how many strikes, all the statistics, so that people understand exactly what's happening. So I told her that morally, I think it's reprehensible what's going on. I said the second thing, and probably just as important, if not more important, in a practical sense, is that if you have a number of these drone attacks, as you all know, and some civilians die, some children die, maybe they happen to be just in the proximity, maybe they were living at the house that was attacked, maybe they were out on the road in the bazaar when a car was blown up. But that CIA guy with his video game set up doesn't take into account a lot of these things. And that's why, especially earlier, so much collateral damage was being done. So my point to Robin Rayfield was, if you kill a certain amount of bad guys, or people that are coming over across the border to shoot at Americans or do terrorist attacks in Pakistan, and you have children who die, and you have women who die, then you have just made their brothers, their cousins, their uncles, their sons and fathers, not just they're not going to forget in 1 year. See, I tried to make her understand, I guess it didn't work, because they've doubled the drone attacks. But I tried to make her understand so that she could tell Hillary Clinton and President Obama that these guys aren't going to forget for their whole lives. So it may be that what we did yesterday may not be 50, 60 years before somebody gets their payback. But they're going to live their lives with the memory of their lost loved ones. And at some point, they are going to strike back. So if you create 100 enemies for every 1 or 2 you kill, then you mathematically do not have an equation that will lead to success. I don't understand why they don't get it. Maybe it's because those who profit from making bullets and missiles don't want that to be understood. But I know that you can put a child in Pakistan, you can put 2,000 children in Pakistan in school for 1 year for the cost of one Hellfire missile. And so I'm going to do the best I can. I'll do my level best to teach Americans about Pakistan, to teach Americans about those who suffered, who were innocent. Teach them about the 5 years that I've lived on ground without spending 1 paisa on security in 5 years. And I've been to Swat, and I've been to Tarsada, and I've been to pretty much everywhere except for Waziristan and Balochistan, because they haven't allowed me to go there. Even I was ready to go there, but I wasn't allowed to go there. I'm going to do a little song that I wrote about children, about my son. It's called Little Feet. And now, of course, he's got big feet, but I'll never forget when he had little feet. And the song is about families, children, and life and its cycles, and I hope you like it. As we wake up to the morning light, a memory finds its way from the hallway to my mind. It takes me away back to the old days, when our little house was filled up with the sound of little feet upon the floor, down the hall and opening the water, crawling across the sheets, snuggling up to you and me, little angels with those little feet, using our bed for a trampoline. Now we're all grown, ooh, oh, how I miss those little feet yesterday. Look, Johnny,